Okay, welcome to Approaches in Psychology, a behaviourist, AO3 this will be. So always with this you need 3 or 4 that you understand, paragraphs that you'd be able to write out in essay form, or if they were to ask you a small question, pick your favourite. Okay, you're going to understand about applying it, although obviously we do that more in the lessons about actually what can you prove via the behaviours, what behaviours can it show, but we'll definitely be able to evaluate it with regards to application, ethics, credibility, and start to understand this idea of determinism if you don't yet know. Okay, analysing and evaluating. Okay, so the first one is a positive. So on your notes, positive of behaviourism is what we're calling scientific credibility. Behaviourism was able to bring the language and methods of natural sciences into psychology by focusing on the measurement of observable behaviour within highly controlled lab settings. Now, to make you understand this, let's pick a scientist at school, Mr. Cronin, someone else. They might say that psychology isn't a science, okay? And there's always this debate whether psychology is a true science or not, whether it's, can it be compared to biology, chemistry, physics? And one of the things that they would always say is biology, chemistry, physics. In a lab, everything's controlled. That's what makes it scientific. You can prove something. If I add, liquid X to liquid Y, this happens every time. Scientific, controlled lab. So behaviourist, one of the positives is it is observable. Everything is in a highly controlled lab setting. So that makes it far more credible. Okay, and that's the thing you want to put. Looking at the importance of scientific processes such as, and this is where we get into the science bit again, objectivity, replication. So you can always repeat a behavioural experiment. You can always, should have some objectivity. It should be able to be blind, double blind, if you know these terms. And it was hugely influential in the development of psychology. I am a behaviourist. I believe strongly in the ideas of being able to change behaviour using positive and negative consequences. So I like the fact that you can do this. And that's it. So your big paragraph here is it's credible because it's highly controlled, because it's very scientific, and because of that it can be replicated. It's got objectivity, and it's massively helped psychology within the wider world of science in itself. Okay, the second bit, real life applications, and lots of these approaches will have that. Lots of your moving on to A2 and lots of your ASs will be, is there real world application? When we talk about psychodynamics, sometimes people think, oh, doesn't have real world application, but we'll find out that maybe it does, and this is the same. You lot, or any boys that are watching this that have been through Finchley and Catholic, we have a huge token economy system. Okay, we have rewards, merits, we have detentions, we have good behaviour, we have, currently with me year 11, we have, if they're good, they get on study leave, if they don't, they have to stay at school. So obviously the principles of behaviourist, of operant conditioning particularly, have been used and are being used in prisons, in schools, so it's hugely applied, basically. Okay, so lots of real world applications applied in prisons, schools, with you lot at home. If your parents ever offer you money, rewards for doing something, that is operant conditioning. They're trying to get you to do some form of behaviour with an appropriate reward. Okay, it can be exchanged for privileges, blah blah blah. Classical conditioning, if you haven't done phobias and things yet, but people get really, it shows within association. If something happens to you with, I'm trying to think of what they use, a clown when you're younger, somebody puts a clown face on and scares you, then you will be forever scared of clowns. You might associate that with the circus, and you can't go to the circus. So association within phobias is also shown quite a lot. Okay, mechanistic view of behaviour. Animals and humans are seen as passive creatures and machine-like responders to environments. Other approaches, and after this you'll look at social learning theory, which is SLT, and the cognitive approach, have emphasized the importance of mental events during learning. Processes that mediate mediate between stimulus and response suggest that people play a more active role in their own learning. Therefore, behaviourism may only apply to animals, may apply more to humans than animals. What this is saying is maybe it's a bit too easy, not complex enough to just see us as passive creatures. Okay, you date this, I will do it. You give me a reward, I will do it again. And that's where we start to get this term deterministic and free will. And this, just write this down, it will make more sense maybe in the lesson when you explore it, about this, the assumptions then turn into positives and negatives. So just write this down, it will make more sense later on. Okay, so determinism, environmental determinism. Behaviourists see all behaviour as determined by past experiences that have been conditioned. Skinner suggested that everything we do is the sum total of our reinforcement history. This ignores any influence free will may have on behaviour, and is therefore an illusion. So this is the big talking point around behaviourism, okay, and the learning approach. What it is saying, if you break it down, is I can take you, I can take anyone, and I can make them into anything I want by using conditioning, by giving them rewards, by punishing them. And you may agree with that. You think, okay, yeah, some of the behaviours you've got have maybe been through the rewarding and negative punishment. But as human beings, that doesn't sit right with us. We like this idea of free will, okay, that we are deciding what to do. That, all right, I may have got rewarded lots of times, but it's still my decision to go and do it again. I can still say no. And this is that big, huge point of determinism, which is one side, and free will, which is the other. If you were deterministic, you were saying that basically your behaviour can be controlled. You are, as Skinner says, a sum of your history. So you are who you are because of all of the things that have happened to you, rewards and punishments, and you don't have free will. We could predict what you're going to do because we know your rewards, okay? Whereas free will is the other one, which is, we can make our own decisions. It doesn't matter, at any point we can decide. And forever that free will and determinism argument sits, and it sits here strongly. So this has environmental determinism, therefore rejecting free will and saying that free will basically is an illusion. And that can be seen, as a negative. It's more just a discussion point in this instance. Ethical and practical issues in animal experiments. The Skinner box enabled behaviourists to maintain a high degree of control. So lab experiment, high control, experimental parts, but it questioned the ethics of using rats. So with any animals, the rats got electrocuted sometimes. They were getting not fed so that they would want the food, and these have ethical constraints and ethical issues to deal with. The animals are exposed to stressful conditions, which therefore may have affected their behaviour in the experimental conditions. So we're going one further and saying not only was it ethically, it had ethical problems, but if you are stressing animals out, are they then behaving in the same way? Are you actually finding what you want in that experimental situation, or are you changing it and therefore you can't generalize, you can't extrapolate that out? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Next ones we'll look at social learning, which is under the learning approach as well, but it goes a little bit further about parents, how we learn from people, friends, blah, blah, blah. Okay.